So let's begin our day with the topic, which is our business environment. So
Right.
we have already finished our people and process domains, and this is actually what our last domain for exam, which is actually 8% of your exam. But sometimes the smaller things are quite expensive, or the little things are very high risk. Like what we call it, compliance risk are low probability, but very high impact. So that is what business environment is about. Now, first, before I start explaining the things, let me recall the intro, what we did on our first day, uh, to understand those terminologies. And I'm muting your mic. So you guys, if you have anything, you can send me in the chat window, and I will be looking at the second screen for the chat. So when it comes to business environment, the first thing we remember that what is the project? I think let me change the size of the font so you guys can see clearly. So project, we've discussed that project is a change agent, which is actually introduced to bring the change into our existing capacity of the organization. It helps us to move from current state to future state. And if you want to move from current state to future state, we need to look at something. What is that something? That it should give you some benefits. And we said that benefits could be what? Benefits could be what? Tangible or intangible, which could add to our business value. So benefits could be what? Tangible or intangible, which could add to the business value of the organizations. Otherwise, there is no benefit of doing the project. So we do the project to achieve a position in the market. We do the project to achieve a status quo in the market. We do the project to bring the change into our project and to our existing organizations. We do the project to bring services or additional services or enhancement to our organizations. We do the project for servicing, maintenance, shutdown. We do the project to enhance the product lifecycle. We do the project to enhance the strategic alignment of our organizations towards the project. So these are the reasons for what we can work to produce the projects. Now, based upon that thing, what is happening here is sometimes when we do the project, what happens? Unable to achieve, we are unable to achieve the objectives. What objectives? That you are trying to achieve multiple objectives which are independent. So when you are doing the projects in independent way, when you are dealing with projects in independent way, so what we call them, can you put it on the chat window? Let me see that you guys remember. If you are managing the projects in an independent way, what we call this thing? I didn't see any answer on the chat window yet. When we are handling the project independently, we call that thing as exactly portfolio management. When we have the collection of projects or programs which can be run independently, that is called as portfolio management. And when projects are being done in independent or in correlated way, so we call this thing as program management. And what is program management? We do the program because we want to achieve the benefits. We want to achieve the benefits and attain the values from the project, which cannot be achieved or attained if you are doing them individually. So that is the purpose of having programs combined together. Like we discussed that by making the building of a school, it's not beneficial that you can get the school objectives. But if you want to make a school, so you have to hire the resources, you have to provide them facilities, you have to arrange the services, you have to do the registrations, you have to do the servicing, you have to do the marketing, advertisement, so you can enroll as many students because it has a vision attached with it. So ultimately, you guys will be able to achieve those things in a coordinated way, in a correlated way. That's what we call it, program management. So when we are dealing with multiple projects, multiple programs, or multiple portfolios at a time, so it means we have multiple stakeholders, we have multiple type of governance. To handle the governance, to handle the governance, and to handle the standardization, organization establish, organization establish what? What organization establish? Can you put your answers on the chat window? Exactly. To facilitate, to standardize, organization establish a structure called as PMO. It could be the ad hoc PMO or it could be the temporary PMO. It could be the permanent PMO based upon the type and size of the organizations. And PMO have three types of role. Anyone remembers three type of roles? If yes, can you please put it on the chat window so I can see you guys remember something or not? What are the three roles or three structures of PMO? One is called as, yes, fills are good. Anyone else? We have supportive role of PM, we have controlling role of PMO, and we have directive role of PMO. So supportive means you are providing the guidance. PMO is providing the governance and guidance that how to work in the organizations, what documents you can use for facilitations, templates, past project archives. When it comes to controlling, so it is what they provide you the governance, plus guide you also that how to establish it. Why? Because project manager is new to our organization or moderately experienced, not fully experienced. To support them, they provide and guide the governance. And in directive, decision making is done by PMO, and project manager just manage the project and manage the resources. But decision making will be done by the PMO. Why? Because project manager is inexperienced or project priority is very high, like you're working for defense and secret type of projects. So while working with PMO, PMO also takes the guidance from another authority. From where the PMO is getting the guidance, which guides that which portfolio, program, project you have to select, how to execute them, how to manage them, and how to operate them. What is above PMO? I gave you a keyword like a spiral, that it's like a spiral which binds the organization with their operations and with their P3Os management. Anyone of you remember? We call it OPM, Organizational Project Management. What is organizational project management? It's the organization-based governance, which guides the whole organization that which type of portfolios, programs, and projects, when to select them, how to select them, how to execute them, how to manage them throughout the project. So OPM provides the guidance for the overall organizations, and PM is also absorbing the guidance from OPM also. And for sure, they keep updating. So what is the function of PMO? PMO is responsible to create, update, maintain, and monitor the compliance of project management documents, standards, any templates which are required. So once we have many projects going on to facilitate, we have the PMO, and PMO is also the centralized repository of resources. Any project manager, they need resources. PMO will provide them or is responsible to provide them the resources. You have been listening a lot from me about these things. Now let me guide you or let me show you that how does it actually work in PMO. So let me just move it a bit and let me zoom in a bit. You cannot see my whiteboard. How is it possible? Now, can you see SM? Now you can see the whiteboard? Still no? All of you can see the whiteboard or no? I can see the arrows moving in. It means you guys can see the whiteboard. You guys have chat window. You can type your answers on the chat window. So if you are not comfortable with this type of whiteboard, we can still go back to our normal whiteboard. Let me share it again. Is it visible now? Asim is saying he can see, and you are saying we cannot. Maybe your devices have some what we call it compatibility things. That could be the reason, I guess. So Tawheed can see it also. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, no worries. Yeah, it's a different whiteboard. That's what I was saying. This is a different one. Is it clear or not? So let's begin. I was trying to give you that this is called as actually PMO. So imagine this is the boundary of PMO. And in this boundary, you guys are clicking on it. That's why. So this is the size of PMO. What happens in this PMO? I have two things. Uh, if I say like this, I will call it this thing as PMIS. What is PMIS? Project Management Information System. What is PMIS? Project Management Information System, which contains what? Our, if I further divide it into columns. So we have our OPA. It contains our EEF. It contains our resource management, centralized resource management. And when I say resources, so it could be human resource, it could be other resources now. So that is what it does look like. And the outer boundary is actually what? PMO. And you know, if I further divide OPA, if I further divide OPA like this, so OPA further is divided into three categories. What are the three categories? It contains the templates. It contains the past project archives. It contains the knowledge and information related to the project. So that is what the part of OP. It contains past project archives. It contains governance. It contains templates, and it contains the knowledge base of the organization. Similarly, when it comes to enterprise environmental factor, is divided into two categories, internal and external. What is internal and external? Internal, let's see that how many of you remember what are the internal EEF and what are the external EEF. Can you please put it on the chat window? What are internal EEF and what are external EEF? Let me see how many of you remember the internal EEF and external EEF. Answer on the chat window, please. Answer on the chat window. What are the internal EEF? Okay, at least you can listen, right? So please answer on the chat window that what are internal EEF and what are external EEF. And EEF means enterprise environmental factor. So I'm waiting for your answers in the chat window, please. Write it external or internal. Filza, if you will write like this, so it will be difficult for me to remember that you are saying internal or external. So give the heading of internal and write internal, and then give the heading of external and then write external. Yes, you guys have the chat window. Please start typing on the chat window. Internal is obstacles. No, Mustafa. Internal cannot be obstacles. There is a better word than that. Then I'll start explaining. And I have not seen internal as culture, resources, information, software, employee capability. Ms. Radha, very good. Thank you. And externals are, what are the externals? So far, I have only two answers out of 11 people. External is related to regulations. Good. External is related to compliance. External is related to economic conditions. External is related to legal restrictions, financial considerations. Very nice. Very good. That's more like it now. So yeah, that was the point that you guys remember or not. Let me take you back to the screen. Very good. Very good. Okay. So I made it something like this for you. So PMO is providing us the guidance that what are the internal and external EEF, what are the OPAs. OPAs contains what? Templates, past project archives, team knowledge base, for the facilitation of the project program and portfolio managers. I told you there could be only one PMO for all of them, or there could be a separate PMO for each of them. And it also provides a resource sharing between the projects. They provide the communications across the projects, so everyone should be aware of it. PMO also provides mentoring to the project managers. And nowadays, this culture of PMO is called as community of practice, which means that project managers share their lesson learned from their peer project managers, and if the required team members are there. Advantage is that if you encountered anything, how you make it better, how did you apply your knowledge there. So it will help other people to think for a concept. We call it in agile, we call this thing fail fast, or in risk management we also call it fail safe, which means before starting the project or before starting the phase of the project, we try to find out that how we can fail. So once we collected the data, how we can fail. So ultimately, we'll try to avoid all those reasons which we have identified. So we actually do a brainstorming sessions where we invited the participants, and you as a project manager ask them to provide their opinions. So they is a facilitation session led by the project manager, and everyone provide that if I do this, we will fail. If I do this, it will fail. If I do this, it will fail. If we do this, we will fail. So we consider the failures in advance. So in order to execute the project, we can avoid that. And regarding your answers for OPAs and EEF, yeah, they are correct. Stakeholder appetite is a part of OPA or EEF. Stakeholder appetite is a part of OPA or EEF. stakeholder appetite is actually the part of EEF. If you just use a logic, the stakeholders are normally the external people. So when the people are external, for sure, they will be our uh, external people. So it will be enterprise environmental factors. So OPAs, I think someone was saying obstacles. I told you there is a better word. EEF is not obstacle. EEF is actually our constraints. And these are the constraints under which we have to work. The organization culture, organization resources, leadership, management styles, code of conduct, vision, beliefs, software's availability, geographical distributions, decision-making skills. Then we have our external elements like you're working for Aramco, Royal Commission, these type of projects, design, and so on. So these are what you have to work under their compliance, under their governance. And that's what we call it constraints. So EEF actually goes for constraints. I can give you a very simple shortcut to remember. If you read anything in the question also, if you read something that this document is there to guide you, if there is some document and they are being explaining it as that, okay, it will provide you guidance how to do the work, so for sure it will be the part of OP. And if some document you have to follow, if something you have to follow while you are working on the project, it means that will be the part of EF, because we follow the law and we are guided by our SOPs or OP. So you can remember like this as a shortcut. If you are stuck in exam, just remember like this, your problem will be solved. So by working with this and in which type of PMO you are working, you need to understand that in which type of organization you are working. So we discussed that we have functional organizations, right? And in functional organization, project manager role is temporary and functional manager have full authority. So functional manager have more power than project manager, because functional organizations have rarely projects once upon a time. So we can have a person nominated as a part-time project manager. So we call them project manager, where project manager have no authority. If the project manager have no authority, we call them expediter. So it's good for functions, but not good for the projects. For projectized, we have, or the project-based organizations, we have projectized type of organizations where project manager have the whole decision-making authority and functional managers are reporting to project manager. So here, project manager is actually the project manager. This type of organization is good for projects, but not good for organization growth, because there is no one working to invest in the organizations, maintain the organization operations. Now, no one thinking for the reinvestment strategy and so on. So here the resources are only being shared for the project. So ultimately what happens when no project, no organizations. And this last one is called as metrics organizations, which is actually the combination of both. So we share the resources between project and operations. And the authority of project manager is actually what? Coordinator. So expediter, no authority, coordinator, some authority, and project manager, full authority. So you need to understand that in which type of organizations you are working, who have more power. If you are working under weak matrix, so it means functional manager will be powerful. If you are working in a strong matrix, that means you have the hold on your resources. If you are working in balanced matrix, it means a resource will have two managers, and it will be very difficult for a resource to have two managers and report two managers equally. But these are our constraints under which we have to work. So that's what we call it, that when you're working in the projects, you have to understand the business environment so you can make decisions. Like, for example, there could be question in exam that you are working as a project manager and leading a project. Halfway through of the project, your CEO changed. What you will do next? Can I take your inputs? What you will do next if the CEO change of the organization in which you're working, which is seller organization? If the CEO of the organization change, how this thing will impact your project? Let's see your answers on the chat window. If your executive management is changed halfway through the project, what you will do as a project manager? Anyone? Give it a wrong answer, it doesn't matter. But if you reply, it will be more collaborative. Uh, because of executive management, there will be no change because it's their decision making. They will guide you that is stop the project, terminate the project, or they can reprioritize your project, which means they can provide you more resources so you can finish early, or they feel that we have flowed and we can manage it, so they can downgrade your project in the priority so they can hold your resources. So in that case, your project will be long. So whatever happens, what you have to perform, you have to perform the impact analysis. Anything happen, anything change in the environment as a project manager, first you have to do what? Always evaluate, perform the impact analysis. So whether the question says that CEO has changed, sponsor has changed in the middle of the project, and I think we have solved a question in your class or in another class. So if the project run off the budget, no budgets available, what you will do? Continue working or you will terminate the project? If the sponsor who was providing you the money, they got bankrupted, so there is no more money left, what you will do now? Exactly. If the sponsor is bankrupted, you will check how much, you will do the funding limit reconciliation, that how much funds are available, how much work we can do it, and ultimately we'll be able to close the project. And to close the project, we will follow the same guidelines that whatever the finished deliverables, we will transfer the ownership to the benefit owner or the operational teams. We will collect the lessons that how did it happen and how it can be avoided. We'll prepare the final report. We'll perform the evaluations of any sellers included, like the procurement partners and so on. And ultimately, we'll submit the project report. And if the projects are actually terminated abnormally because of the funding or because of those things, so abnormal word by itself is called as post-mortem. So you will prepare the post-mortem report of the project, that why it was abnormally interrupted or terminated. Sometimes to avoid the project and you have a lot of risk. So in predictive project management, we call it pre-mortem, which means that before you fail, you actually go through that point of failure so you can avoid those failures because you already have the lesson learned from the past project that this may happen in the project. So post-mortem happen when the project is terminated abnormally. Abnormally means funding goes off, sponsor change. They do not require any longer, or the business objectives are no longer achieved. The product you are going to launch, your competitor has already launched that product. So in that case, what is happening? You have already closed the loophole. So when you will do the project and you feel something that something can happen, so it means you will do the pre-mortem for that thing, that if it is at the initial stage. So when you are performing pre-mortem and these type of things, what will help you? The most common framework for you guys, PASTEL, that how your project can be impacted politically, by economic situations, by social, or by socio-technological or technology, and legal and environmental. So you will do your maths that how you can make yourself comfortable. So it will help you to manage the risk throughout the project. So when you are working legal and environmental, so they are actually what? Compliance situations that you have to follow the compliance at all means. There is no compromise on the compliance risk. Compliance risk will always be the top priority risk, and they should be approved as soon as possible. You cannot delay them, because if you will delay them, like nowadays, you know what is happening? If you guys are related to procurements and contracts and invoicing, so in last 5 years, what happens that VAT is applied, right? So this is the new change and you have to follow it. You cannot submit the invoice without VAT. Issuing the invoice with zero amount is a crime. It's an illegal thing. Then VAT was increased to 15%. Then government says that every invoice which will be issued, it should have the QRR code on it. So again, this is what compliance requirement. You cannot ignore it. You have to do it. And then ministry said that all the invoices should be uploaded to the Zakat portal. And for that, ministry provided the mobile apps also. And now what the recent one is what? Ministry said that every invoice which every vendor submit, it will go to, you can connect with your, you can integrate with your softwares. It will go through to the Zatka profile on the website, and then Zatka will issue a reference number. So that reference number will be saved into your IT softwares, the ERP softwares, and it might take nowadays 2 to 3 minutes. So some of our accountants were like feeling afraid that if someone comes to us and pays the money, and we said please wait for 5 minutes, so it will be like quite scary, and we cannot serve another one because until this one invoice is issued. But you cannot do anything. This is compliance requirement, you have to follow. You cannot do if else but, if but not allowed in compliance requirement. And compliance requirement keeps coming every day. So, somewhere we have static requirements, it remains same, or sometimes it's very dynamic and we have to follow these requirements. So if you are working with Aramco, so you know that Aramco have always the prerequisites that you should have the cyber security certification if you are the vendor of Aramco. And for they have allocated 15 vendors for that, that only these 15 vendors can audit and provide you the certificate for the CCC, for the cyber security of the vendors. So these are compliance requirements which you must follow. If you will not follow, it will impact your current and future projects. So you need to understand what are the compliance requirements, and you have to fulfill them as immediate as possible. So that's it from the explanation side. Let's go and solve some questions and understand. So please put your hands on the chat window and get ready to answer on the chat window. Let's go. The first question on the screen is, during the design phase, a PM realizes that the project will benefit from using adaptive tools. The effectiveness of this approach has been proven in the past project inside the organization. What should the project manager do first? So what you're doing, you are proposing something, you feel that something is better, and it has already given you the success in the past project. So you know our ground rules, right? What type of answers cannot be the correct answers? Let's check that how much you remember from our last 5 days session and how much you can apply. Update the documents to include adaptive tools, freeze the design, contact the sponsor, or confirm capabilities before introducing tools. What we discussed, that direct action will never be the correct answer. Direct action will never be the correct answer. Update and freeze, they are the direct actions. Similarly, for our internal thing, we have already decided we will never go to sponsor. Until unless it goes escalated, we will not go to the sponsor. Escalated means you tried from your organizations whatever possible things, but you were unsuccessful in getting the required resources, even reminders and everything, but they're not providing. So as usual, the remaining answer is what? Confirm before introducing. It looks good, okay, but your organization have the capability, that's a different situation. So we need to understand the environment. This is again what environment. We need to understand the environment before introducing anything. So yes, those who have answered D, it's actually the correct answer. Great. Let's go next. A PM finished reviewing the project deliverable for the current iteration with the customer. A new stakeholder who just joined the team complains that the result do not provide the capabilities the business anticipated. What should the project manager do to address this issue? If someone doesn't like your project, what you will do? Update the stakeholder list and fix the deliverables. Can you update a stakeholder register without change request? You cannot do the updation without change request. update the project management plan. Do you have this privilege in project? Can you update the project management plan by yourself? Not allowed, right? Create a change request and update the scope management plan. What is the scope management plan? How to prepare the scope. So this was done when we started the project, or how to start the project. So surely it cannot be the answer. So conduct a stakeholder identification and a project objective review session. Yeah, this seems to be a better answer. So answer will itself tell you that I am the correct answer or I am the incorrect answer. Build yourself like this so you can identify these things, that what is written in the question. Great. I have just given you some hint. Now let's go and do it by yourself. Let me show you the question and you will find the answer by yourself now. A PM has been assigned to lead a project to deploy a new system. Stakeholders disagree on the project objectives and approach. Approach is surely project manager problem. Project objective is the project manager problem, right? No. Whose problem is this? Project objectives are whose problem? If you understand the question, you can answer it. If you just go and start finding the answers, trust me, you will never find the answer. If you don't understand the question, don't try to answer the questions. Exactly. It's a sponsor responsibility for the project objectives. What you will do as a project manager, now you read the answer by yourself and tell me, Imran, this is the correct answer. I haven't got the answers yet. Uh, Filza, yes. Rakesh, no. Rakesh, in this thing, there is a word which is incorrect. Jordan, yes. Just because of that word, this is not the correct answer. Yes, Rakesh, very good. You found it. That's great. Asan, yes. Asam, yes. Good. Just because of this word and this word, C cannot be the correct answer, right? Project people, stakeholders are not agreeing on the project. So how can you do the scoping workshop when they are not clear with the project objective? What's the benefit of preparing the scope? So this is out of the league. Then remaining are B and D. So D has nothing to do with the question. A sponsor, you prepare the RACI matrix. How you will prepare the RACI matrix for the things and they will approve it. It's not about the rules, it's about the conflicts on the project objectives. So D cannot be the answer. So remaining answer is yes, those who have answered B, their answer is actually the correct answer. Very good. Let's go next. After completion of a project with specific users in various countries. When I read it, various countries, my mind starts working for conflicts. Project manager supervisor ask if the project users are satisfied with the project was run. What two actions should the project manager take to get the satisfactions? You have to select the two answers and please answer on the chat window which two answers are correct. Which two answers you think are correct? Asan, first one is correct. C is why I said C? C is quality control. C is quality control. It cannot be the answer. Filza, can you do that thing? Ah, no, not Filza. Rakesh, can you do the last part of your question is not correct? The answer. It's not possible. If you look at the last one, if your project is running in many countries, every country has a different law. So you cannot have the new process for the various countries. Like for example, if I say in terms of cyber security, so Europe have GDPR for the data protection. Saudi Arabia have PPDL. USA have NIST standards for the cyber security, which is from NSA. So they all have different standards for data privacy and security. So one process cannot fit to all. So ultimately, E cannot be the answer. See, I already told you it's the quality control thing, not the project manager thing. And you are asking my current feedback. And if I send you my past project, my past phase feedback, you will be angry, right? So correct answers are B and D. Those who have answered this, yeah, they are actually the correct answer. You can collect the feedback. There was a tool in collect requirement technique for this, where you check the customer satisfaction. You guys remember the name of that tool? I can give you a hint. I can give you two options. There was one called as A/B testing, and there was another one called as Net Promoter Score. Which one will help you? A/B testing or Net Promoter Score to check the satisfaction of the stakeholders? Net Promoter Score or A/B testing? Filza, yes, your answer is correct. Let me see how many of those remember. There was Net Promoter Score for the satisfaction or A-B testing for the satisfaction. Asan, I think you attended the first class, the second class, which was a scope. I explained it also. That is called as Net Promoter Score. It's in the slide of collect requirement process where we have like we were discussing brainstorming, focus group, facilitation, questionnaire surveys, interviews, prototype, context diagram, affinity diagram, mind map. On those slides when we were discussing this thing, there we had net promoter score and A/B testing. There was another thing we were discussing: net present value, internal rate of return, payback period, future value, those options. So we have this net promoter score in that slide. Great. So yes, B and D were the correct answers. Let's go next. The city has decided to build a new station. Project will include various approaches. Construction, infrastructure work will be accomplished during using the predictive life cycle, while software will be the iterative life cycle. Some neighbors are resisting the project and have been asking the mayor to stop the project and are threatening the legal action. What two actions should the project manager take? So this is what the proper business environment question, that in which environment you are operating the projects. Neighbors are resisting and threatening the mayor for legal actions. Uh, those who have answered, their first answers are correct, second is not. And look, in this question, I'll tell you there are more ways to solve it. But let me get more answers. Uh-huh. Yes, those who have answered, their answers are correct. Rakesh, both of your answers is correct. So far only Rakesh have answered both options correct. Look, Asan, sorry, I'm not like taunting on you, just explaining to all, not only to you, Asan. This is your way to go home to make the train station. Can you do like this for your home? No, right? So this is what they are asking, new train station to another location. So you want to go Jubail, I will forward you go Rastarula, then come to Jubail. So see, I'm saying for all, not for one, okay? So don't take it that I'm taunting on someone. So this is not possible. And no one is free. Literally, no one is free to do that. It's okay. So I'm not saying that something, I'm just explaining it. Don't worry. Okay, so C and D are out of our league. So they are asking what two actions should the project manager take? So exactly, because it's a threat, so you have to add it into the risk register. And you have to get the buy-in from the mayor, because mayor is what? The main authority of the city. So you can say it could be a sponsor also, or one of the sponsors. So you have to convince the supportive groups to explain them that why this project is important. So they can actually answer to the what we call it, to the neighborhood, to the people in a better way. So they should have the clear picture of it. Now, if I change the course, everything will remain same. Okay, everything will remain same. I will just change the words. Which two actions should the project manager have taken to avoid this situation? Now, what will be the answer? Which actions? Remove the two, forget. There are two answers, but let me see if you guys can answer one. Which action project manager can take to avoid this situation? Exactly, Mr. Sir. Very good. To avoid the situation. So to avoid the situation is this. If you want to avoid the situation, then this is the better thing, that start getting the buy-in, start getting the marketing, start getting the things like if you guys are living in Saudi Arabia and watching the YouTube. So if you look there, they are promoting their projects, like they're promoting what is NEOM, what are the other projects of NEOM. Uh, First, I think I was listening, there was only NEOM and Trojena and Oxagon. And 3 days ago, 4 days ago, I was looking, there are so many projects, Zardoon and this and that and that, and they're doing a lot of marketing on that. So they are building the consensus that we can do like this. They want to change. Like you might have seen on YouTube, there is a new ad of Messi, Lionel Messi, that what you look from the perspective Saudi Arabia, this is totally different, and Saudi Arabia, what actually is totally different. What is your perception? So what they are doing, they are trying to build a positive image in front of the world for Saudi Arabia. So that is what you can do D and E to promote that thing, that okay, we are doing this project. It will be beneficial for the community, and jobs will be created, cultures will be diversified, people will get entertainment and so on. So yes, in this condition, D and E could be the better answers. Great, very good. If you start playing with the question like this, it means you have been learning in a good way, and now you have the approach that you can eliminate the wrong answers. I think let's keep it as the last question. A team is working on implementing a communication system when the client says they are considering closing the project environment, right? Team schedules an urgent meeting with the client to understand why the project is risk. Which two tools or techniques can the project manager use to influence the client decision to keep the project active? You need to select two answers. to influence the decisions. That's very good, Rakesh. Good. Jordan, good. Very nice. Osa, yes, very good. So I feel a lot of improvement in your answers, guys, that you have been learning in a good way. In last 5 days, we have learned a lot. So this can not be the correct answer in any situation, right? And why you want to go for voting? It should be the sponsor situation, not project manager. Sponsor could do voting, but not you as project manager. So B and C are out of the league. And they want to continue the project. So there will be no point of having the alternative. So yes, cost benefit analysis and multi-criteria decision making to understand or to get that maybe this project can be a better thing for you in a particular situation. So maybe they will find the things. Otherwise, you have to close the project because customer is always right and customer can never be wrong. So thank you very much.